All right. Next game, we're going to the late afternoon games. The Redskins at the Cardinals. This line opened up Cardinals -6. It's up to 6.5. So who do you like here?
I like the Cardinals. I know Washington played really well this week, and like this is basically very close to the same line they had against the Eagles, give or take a point or two. But I think that it's understandable why they would be such underdogs here. The Cardinals just had a surprise win over the 49ers, are surprised to some. As I said earlier, you and I both kind of saw them being very competitive coming. But what Washington did last game was they took advantage of the Eagles' injuries using their pass rush. The Eagles were without three of their starting offensive linemen. They didn't play well at all because of that. Kyler Murray Carson Wentz was under so much pressure. That's not going to happen as much with Kyler Murray. Like the Arizona offensive line is no great shakes, but Murray has such better mobility than Wentz, and he has way more downfield weapons like DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald. All those guys can help get him out of bad situations. So I think that that's going to make it harder for the Washington defensive line to make an impact. And their secondary is pretty unproven. They did very well in the second half against the Eagles and created some key turnovers, but I don't think that happens again. And then on the offensive side of the ball for Washington, I think Dwayne Haskins is going to have a lot more trouble finding space to throw the ball against this Arizona defense. I think Patrick Peterson will do a pretty good job on Terry McLaurin. And then outside of him, it's kind of like, all right, who else are you going to rely on? Logan Thomas. Like, this is a good matchup for tight ends against Arizona, but I'm still not a huge fan of what they have in terms of a supporting cast on offense. So I think the Cardinals will win this one. I'm not going to bet a ton on this one. I got 1 or 2 units at this point. But I think Washington did what they had to do. They won in week 1. They'll be motivated to play hard in this game for sure. Ron Rivera always has his team ready, but I just think that the talent disparity between Washington and the Cardinals is too great at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that. So you have both teams coming off upsets. And I feel like the Cardinals upset over the 49ers was more legit. Like, I think you can make the case that the Cardinals might be better than the 49ers if their offensive line holds up. Like, DeAndre Hopkins just makes that team so much better. Like, we saw what Houston turned into without Hopkins, and now we see what Arizona is with Hopkins. Kind of makes you wonder what Bill O'Brien was thinking. So that was legit, but like the Redskins beating the Eagles was a byproduct of the Eagles being without 3 offensive linemen. So if the Eagles didn't have injury issues, and like let's say the Eagles beat the Redskins by a touchdown or 10 points or whatever, this spread will be a lot higher because the Redskins would be 0-1 off a loss, and the Cardinals coming off a win over the 49ers. I think this line would be like 8.5, maybe even up to 10. So I think we're getting a decent bargain here with the Cardinals at 6.5. So yeah, I like this Cardinals team a lot. I think they're way better than the Redskins. And now that they're home, the Redskins have to travel across the country after an emotional win, like they were talking about. I think you mentioned it last week when they were winning for Ron Rivera, who was undergoing cancer treatment. So it's coming off an emotional win like that. I think it could be draining for them, and I just think they're going to be outclassed here. Cardinals are a lot better, as I said before. So I'm definitely on Arizona for about 3 units.
Yeah, I could definitely see putting more units on this one. I just like there's something about betting against Ron Rivera I don't like, especially in a new scenario. Like he's one of the few exceptions because he's coached before to the new coach rule, and he's brought like really great culture with him. So I think Washington will play hard, but yeah, I think they're gonna not. I don't know if they'll get outclassed necessarily, but I do think that they'll probably lose by double digits. It'll be more of a come down to earth moment where everyone's kind of like, all right, after that first awesome win that they got, yeah, this is more what we expected. Like they're still a few players away from being a really competitive team in the playoff race.
Yeah, I saw one comment earlier asking if the Redskins were going to win the division, and like this is not the first time I saw it. Like I saw like maybe 5 or 6 things on my Facebook wall, like saying, "Oh, are the Redskins going to win the division now?" Like, no, they're not. I think still there's a decent chance they're still the worst team in the division. Although if the Eagles don't get healthy, I think you could say the Eagles might be. So we'll see.